Welcome back to the Palworld video, guys. So in today's video, we're going to be looking over the PAL summary and looking over their stats, their attacks, their passive skills, what makes up a good PAL, what's a bad PAL, and everything else in between. So without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right in. I hope you guys enjoy. Video in Palworld today. So today I want to talk about the PAL summary and kind of just go over the PALs themselves and what you're looking at when you are on this specific screen. So we'll start on the left hand side and then move to the right. So on the left hand side, you'll start on the top left. You'll see there's 4 stars there. So the 4 stars are meant to represent when your PAL has capped out. Your PAL will cap based off the amount of times that you've used a condenser to effectively fuse PALs of the same species together with yours. So let's say you have another Vanworm, and let's say you have one that you have bred with the perfect passive skills that you wanted it to have. Then you can take other Vanworms that you did not want anymore and fuse them together to make that one particular one even stronger. Once you've gotten to the 4 stars, then I believe you get a boost to your work suitability from level 1 to level 2, or rather just a 1 level increase. So if you're at level 3, then it'll go to level 4. And then your stats, I believe, also get a slight buff. Then underneath those stars, you'll see your level for the PAL. You'll see the PAL's name. I believe later down they're going to add nicknames, so you'll be able to nickname your PAL just like you would in Pokemon. And you'll see the experience points on how much you need for your next level and your gender and your type. So your partner skill is then beneath that short summary. Your partner skill will show you various different things. I covered this in my last video in episode 2, but the partner skill will effectively go over the details of what that PAL will do, whether it's in base, in combat, or in the overworld through your playthrough. This specific PAL itself, Vanworm, it can be ridden as a flying mount, and it'll increase the damage the player deals to enemy weak points while mounted. So you're kind of like fusing your powers together. Think of it like Calyrex when it gets on top of Glasstrier or Spectrier and has that ability as one if you've played Pokemon before. But if you haven't, then that's just effectively what it is. You're just fusing your powers together to make it stronger while you're mounted on top of this PAL. Underneath that, you'll see the active skills. So the active skills is your moves that you will learn throughout the time that you have your PAL while you're leveling it up. Your PAL can also learn different active skills based off the fruit that you feed it. So there are fruits that you can find in the overworld that will be growing on like this mystical type looking tree. There's actually one nearby the starting point. This is Plateau of Beginnings when you're starting out the game, and there's one right nearby. I'll give you a quick glimpse of how it looks like while I explain other things on the summary. So when you have your active skills, you'll learn that you can only learn up to 3, and then the top one it will remove when you level up and learn a new one, and then the new one will go at the very bottom. You can actually remove the active skills. So for example, like if you were to learn a new move, Ignis Breath would disappear, and then Spirit Fire and Nightmare Ball would shift up, and your new move would be there. So if you wanted to forget a move, you can unequip the skill. I'm playing on the Xbox, so you have to press X to unequip it, and then you can re-equip a skill by pressing A, and then you'll have a list of different moves that your PAL has learned throughout the time that you've had it. So then you could equip a different move that you wanted to keep if you felt like that was a better move, or you can go ahead and just re-equip the new one, or you can then use one of the skills, the skill fruits, to then give it a new skill that it would not normally learn. The compatibility, it depends on the PAL itself, but it is a consumable, so you have to collect the fruits and then find the different ones so that you can go ahead and give it to your PAL and boost those active skills. Those active skills, you can actually hover over them and it'll give a brief description of what it does as well. So for example, on this Vanworm, when you go to Ignis Breath, it'll show you that it shoots flames at an enemy, dealing continuous damage, and then it'll show you the countdown on how long it takes for it to recharge and the power of that move. So just to give you a quick visual, I'll go ahead and hop on Vanworm, and then we'll use Spirit Fire. Spirit Fire said it has a 7-second countdown. So let's go ahead and do that. And you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and boom, it's restarted. So all of them have a different countdown, and you'll see here when I use Ignis Breath, Oops. Or rather, whatever move that was. It'll take much longer for that one. But this is one of the trees. So you'll want to look for these and you'll want to mark them because they're very rare to come by. But every 24 hours, they will respawn new fruit. You can collect the fruit, and those fruits are your passive skills. Really cool Easter egg here. These fruits are actually inspired by devil fruit from One Piece. If you notice the top on the way it looks like and just kind of how strange they look, they're literally devil fruits. Really, really cool. But that is how you can teach your pal some new active skills for competitive. Then your passive skill, or rather active skills, but your passive skills are below. This is what you're breeding for. So in Pokemon, you have things like IVs, EVs, and Natures. This is your IVs, effectively. So passive skills will be learned from the POW that you catch in the overworld, or it'll be passed down by the parent when you're breeding them. So the POW that you have and that you want to have the strongest skill, they'll want to have 3 arrows pointing upward. So it could either have 3 arrows pointing downward or 3 arrows pointing upward or any amount in between those two, but it caps at 3 either direction. So if the 3 arrows are pointing downward, then that's not going to be a really good PAL. You'll probably want to get rid of that PAL. You can sell it or you can butcher it for materials. But if you have a 3 skill PAL, then you're going to want to keep that one because then you can breed it to breed an even better offspring. So let's say you have a parent with Vanguard and then you have another parent with 3 arrow Ferocious. A PAL can have up to 4 passive skills at a time. So if you were to breed both of them together, the likelihood of the offspring having both of those 3 arrow skill passive skills will increase, and then you'll have a better Van Worm in that example. So you'll want to keep then rinsing and repeating, finding Van Worms or breeding them with higher passive skills so that you can get a perfect Van Worm. The passive skills do vary. Some are more advantageous in competitive or in combat. Others are more advantageous in the overworld or within your base. So it really makes the having different types of the same species with different passive skills much better for the player. So that way you can have one that you can use to your playthrough, you can have one on your base, and then you can have one for competitive. Looks like I'm getting raided. Let me go ahead and put these guys to attack the invaders. We are back. We are back. We are back. All right. So yes, you can go ahead and pass passive skills down to the offspring with the parents. Now, the next thing is on the right hand side is the PAL Vitality. So the PAL Vitality here will show you the PAL's health bar, and then underneath that the PAL's hunger. So the PAL's hunger will actually decrease the PAL's attack or output or damage output, because if they are hungry, then they will not be able to perform at maximum levels. So you want to make sure you keep an eye on their hunger if you don't have one of the food pouches, which you can equip as a key item. Here's the key items, and then here is the small feed bag. So the feed bag will unlock an additional food slot, and then you can literally put food in that slot, and then it'll automatically feed them. So that'll be a really handy thing to note once you unlock the food bag, that you can just get like 1,000 berries, pop them in there, and you won't really have to manage their hunger too much. So then on the beneath the hunger, you'll see the PAL's sanity or mental stability. This is mainly impacting their sanity and efficiency within your base. So if their sanity is low, then you'll want to have in your base something like a hot spring. The hot spring will increase their it's basically like an amenity, and it'll increase their sanity and they'll be able to be more productive. Going back also to the passive skills and breeding, this is how the breeding grounds look like. You'll want to have a male and a female. You'll simply want to just pick them up similar to how you would throw them into the ranch, like this. Pick them up and then throw the male and female into the breeding ground so that you can then get eggs within this container here, And then if you have an incubator, which I have my incubators upstairs, then you can go ahead and hatch your eggs. Now, you can change in the world settings right at the start of the game before you actually even open up the game, to reduce or just completely remove the time frame. So, like for example, this will take 6 hours for the egg to hatch. But this, if you were to remove the timer, then you'd literally just put an egg in there and it immediately hatch just like this. It'd just say incubation complete, and then you'd be able to go ahead and collect the egg. Now, I'm gonna keep mine on, but to each their own. You can turn it off, whatever. It really won't change anything. It'll just make it more convenient, if anything, for the player itself. I'll most likely turn it off once I get into PvP competitive, once it actually drops. But anyway, getting off topic there. So with the menu beneath the sanity, vitality, and hunger, you'll then see the PAL stats. So when you condense the PAL, which is the 4 stars that I was referencing, I do believe that it'll increase the stats. And it'll also, once you max out and cap out, it'll increase the work suitability by 1 level. So kindling would increase to level 2. Now, underneath the work suitability, which I covered work suitability in full detail on my previous video, but you'll see here what that PAL's work suitability is and the level that it does. So Van Worm is a really good transporter. Kindling is level 1 though, so it'll take a little bit longer for him to make ingots or charcoal, so on and so forth. But if you look beneath that, you'll see the food and how much food the PAL will require to get its hunger back up. So if you see here, Woolipop, her hunger is at 2, so she doesn't require as much food to be at max hunger, whereas Van Worm will need a lot more food to max out his hunger. So a good example, just to kind of give you a visual, is Eikthyr, or rather Quivern. He has 4 loaves of bread icons, and then Relaxaurus has a lot more. He has just 3 short of being max. So if we look at their hunger bars, I'm going to show you when I feed them. I'm going to feed Relaxaurus 1 loaf of bread, and then Quivern 1 loaf of bread. And Quivern was much lower, and he's already at the same hunger level as Relaxaurus, as you can see. So that's just a good tip to note as well, if you want to try and conserve food, who you want in your party. But that's pretty much all the PAL's summary, and like what you would need to know about your PAL summary, so that you know which PAL is the best PAL for you, and which PAL would be better within your base, or within the overworld, or within competitive PvP once it drops. I assume the PvP will have some type of PAL versus PAL, kind of like similar to Pokemon, or at least some type of raid function. But I hope this was helpful to you guys.
And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. See ya!